Guys, welcome back to Floating Hands on the Internet. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I want to pull a card for each era that Taylor Swift has had, and I want to pull one card for how she presented to the world, but and then another clarifying card on how she was actually doing on the inside. I don't know, I kind of had this idea and I thought it'd be interesting to kind of see like throughout the years. She's been in the industry for like 18 years, she's 35, so it's been almost 20 years, and she's obviously gone through a lot of transformations with her eras, her looks, her style. So I'm going to pull a card for each era, and then a clarifying card. So first card will be how she presented to the world, and then the second card will be how she was actually doing on the inside while living within these eras. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I thought it'd be fun. So again, this is for alleged and entertainment purposes only. I'm just a crazy lady with hands on the internet. Okay, so we'll start with debut. Okay, so this is how she presented to the world. That makes sense. The strength card is the Leo card. Eights are about, courageous, heart-centered, like debut. She put her heart into debut. She was young and she was pouring into her craft. That's about overcoming obstacles, endurance. You're stronger than you know. That makes sense to me. I'd say, that's about progress. The infinity symbol is about overcoming struggles internally, externally. So yeah, I think that makes sense for like debut. All right. Okay, this is what she was feeling on the inside. You've been feeling stressed. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That Four of Swords is the rest, is asking you to rest. That's about rest and introspection, structure and stability. So this was kind of her laying the groundwork for her career. So that makes sense to me, the Four of Swords. Asking you to like calm your mind, engage in retrospection, letting yourself rest, and it also could, that's a lot. Like, she went from 0 to 100 with Teardrops on My Guitar, Tim McGraw, so she really skyrocketed. So it makes sense to me that would be the structure. Fours are structure and stability, so that makes sense. She was laying the foundation for her career, and she was probably exhausted by it, and she probably she was probably a little stressed out. I mean, anybody who gets famous like that is going to feel like stressed out. Okay, so that's debut. Let's go to Fearless. So how was she presenting to the world? The Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune. That's when, Fearless was, when people talk about Fearless, Love Story, You Belong With Me, those are songs that people, even who aren't Swifties nowadays, they love those songs, and they have stood the test of time. And so, yeah, that makes sense. Like, the Wheel of Fortune, is, it is 10 on the major arcana, and so that's about completions of cycles. That's about Jupiter expansion, cycles and changes. So new beginnings. That makes sense to me. That's how the world would see her. The You Belong With Me music video as well, Love Story, that still is like iconic to this day from Fearless. So that's how she was doing on the inside. I think I'm finally clean. Yeah, so she was kind of, obviously each era is different, but I think with Fearless, she kind of solidified like those top hits, and that's moving forward. That's about balance and harmony, kind of finding her groove, with career, it's about positive changes, positive things. So yeah, she was very much in her successful era. So she's moving forward to the future, and like the sun's on the horizon. So that makes sense. And then we have, let's see, Speak Now. The Knight of Wands. It's a roller coaster kind of rush. Yeah. So it's the world. Speak Now again, I mean, Dear John, Enchanted, you know, again, those like stone cold hits that still stick with us to this day. Yeah, that's about fast action, passion. Like, she went bam, bam, bam on all these albums. And so, I mean, the fact that she's 35 and she's been in the industry for 18 years and she's had 11 albums, plus Taylor's versions, plus projects, like, she is go, 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 go. Yeah, taking action of ideas and projects. This was the last album for her before she, well, we'll get into Red in a minute, but this is about things picking up quickly. Like, Taylor was solidifying herself as a legitimate artist, I think, by then. So I think she was kind of soaking it up. And then the Knight of Cups, so how she was in on the inside. Didn't they tell us don't rush into things? Yeah, so with that Knight of Cups, Knight's are an immature, so that's about perfectionism and disappointment. I think she was really going through her first heartbreak with John Mayer. Is it Nick Jonas? Not Nick Jonas. Joe Jonas? What did she write about him? It wasn't Dear John, Enchanted, Better Than Revenge. I don't fucking know. I think that John Mayer and whatever the Jonas brother is, I think that he was in this era. So I think this is on the inside, like, I think she was obsessed with like making it perfect. Her perfectionism was kind of shining through. It's also in the reversal. It's about a promising new romance fizzling out too quickly. Things not people working out. So I think this is her relationship's not working out the way she wanted to. John Mayer, and then also relying too heavy on perfectionism. Like, she still does this to this day. So that doesn't shock me. Okay, so we're just gonna move these up. Okay, let's do Red. Right, that's 4. Okay. So how the world saw her. All that time you were throwing punches, I was building something. So yeah, the 7 of Pentacles, I mean, people argue that Red is her most successful album, so it makes sense that it would be pulling the Pentacles. That's about planning, contemplation. This was the last album. People really kind of consider it more of a pop album than they do country, but it was her last true country album before she made that switch. So yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's about growth, patience, planning, contemplation, yeah, like asking you to, you know, like, she's like building up her coin. So again, I think Red, when people really look back at where she skyrocketed, I think it's in between Red and 1989, which we'll get into next. So that's how she presented to the world. And then how did she feel during Red? I mean, all too well, clearly, when my depression works the graveyard shift. Yeah, and I think that 9 is an ode to nearing completion. Like I said, this was her last true country album before she blasted open to pop music, and that's about anxiety and worry. Like, I think that's 2 parts. I think, you know, her career was absorbing a lot of her attention, which obviously, like, she's an artist, but I think that's a lot to do with Jake Gyllenhaal and the All Too Well, which, I mean, you know, that heartbreak caused her one of the best bops ever. All Too Well 10-minute version is iconic, and she was able to reclaim it later. So yeah, I think that's Jake Gyllenhaal, but also, like, worry that, like, nearing completion, she's kind of phasing out of country music. All right, and then 1989, the Moon card reversed. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't have pulled that so quickly. Okay, so let's keep the Moon card reverse, how she appeared to the world. So this was 1989, which is when she really started to kickstart her career in the pop world. Arguably, again, one of her best albums. So the Moon card, that is about bypassing difficulties. And so it's also about, like, like self-deception. Yeah, I mean, I think that this card, if this is how she presents it into the world, it's also connected to the Hermit, which makes sense because this was the era that she was kind of like, I'm just gonna not talk about men, and you know, this was the Girl Squad era. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That was connected to the Hermit. And then you have the Seven of Cups, how she was out doing on the inside. Oh yeah, welcome to New York. That's what that reminds me of, like all these options that she has, like the world is before her. That's about possibilities and daydreaming and planning, contemplation. Like she, yeah, so many big ideas, inspiration, dreaming. Like the world was truly her oyster, and I think that's how she was feeling. She was feeling excited because she can do all these things. So yeah, I think 1989 was an exciting time for her in terms of her career. And she just had all these endless possibilities. So, what's next? Reputation. How did the world see her? The Fool card reversed. And how was she feeling? The King of Pentacles. Feeling so Gatsby for that. Oh yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. So, the Fool card in reverse, how people saw her during... Now, I will say there's a difference between Reputation era, like what she was going through, but then Reputation era when she released the album. So by the time she released the album, she was fucking feeling herself, which makes sense. With the Fool card in reverse, the world saw her as like there's a naivety with her, being challenged by fear, and so yeah, I think with this card it's like I'm not the fool anymore. I'm not going to play a victim. Like, I think they were like, oh shit, like she's not this little girl anymore. And then how she saw herself, the King of Pentacles. I mean, this is why we can't have nice things. She was fucking feeling herself. She was a Joe. She was... Reputation was a love album, by the way. If you didn't know that, Reputation was a love album, coded in revenge, but it's a love album for those of you guys who don't know. That's about a fucking boss-ass bitch, wealth, generosity. I'm getting my coin back. I'm getting my... Stellar got her group back. Like, she was in her boss-ass bitch era. I mean, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do broke the internet. I hated it then. I love it now. So that makes sense. All right. So, Reputation. All right, let's see how Lover was presented to the public. Five of Cups in reverse. And then the Seven of Wands, how she was feeling inside. Your nemesis will defeat themselves before you get the chance to sing. That's long story short. I mean, that makes sense. She was coming out of Reputation era into her lover era. So with the Five of Cups, how she presented to the world during Lover, that's about moving on and like you're turning a corner and how like your situation's perceived. So I think with this, it's like she went from Reputation to Lover. So the public probably thought that from the public's perspective, like the world's perspective, it's like she's moving on from revenge, which, like I said, Reputation's a love album, but it's coded in revenge, to like you're moving on and you're seeing things from a different perspective and you're maturing, like very Saturn return era. And then the Seven of Wands, how she was feeling internally. Again, sevens are about strategy and planning. She's always planning. That makes sense. This is about like negotiations. This was also negotiations, raises, being assertive, standing up for yourself. So I think with her, she was like, this was the first album that she owned. So that makes sense. Like she was like, I'm here. This is my album, and I'm gonna say how it goes. So that doesn't shock me at all. Okay, after Lover is, oh god, I'm such a bad Swiftie. I want to say it was Folklore. Folklore and Evermore are kind of the same, but I'm actually gonna group Folklore and Evermore together. Sorry, because that was like literally the same era. So Folklore, what is it? Folkmore. All right, Three of Wands in reverse. I mean, that's literally the fucking Evermore. Fresh out the slammer, I know who my first call will be to, so that's how the world saw her. And that's how she was feeling inside. I'm only me when I'm with you. Yeah. So I think with the Folklore and Evermore era, the Three of Wands, that's how the world saw her. This was during the pandemic, and so, yeah, that's about delays and disappointment. That makes sense. Like, this album was released during COVID, and so it had a more somberness to it. Delays in plans. She had to cancel Loverfest. Frustration, better solutions, asking yourself to be flexible. That makes a lot of sense. Like, I think everyone during COVID was very much like, there was a lot of disappointment. So yeah, that makes sense that I pulled that, because that album literally was written because everyone was stuck at home. And then you have the Two of Cups, how she was feeling internally about it. Yeah, that's about partnership, unionship, balance, deepening yourself. So I think that's with her connection with Joe. They got very close during the pandemic, and I mean during Lover and Reputation too, but that really solidified it. I think that's Joe. And her connecting with the people that she wrote Folklore Nevermore with. If you ever have a chance to watch the Pawn sessions, those are so beautiful. Oh my god, when she talks about This Is Me Trying, absolute tears. Yeah, so, and then Midnights, let's do Midnights. Oh my gosh, how did the world view it? Okay, yep, because we all thought it was a fucking love album. And that's also Joe. We thought it was about Joe. And how is she really feeling? The Knight of Wands in reversed. It's been a long time coming. That's what she literally opened up I think that's about her breakup with Joe. So I think the world viewed it as, oh, this is such a cute love song. It's about Joe. And then also, like, yeah, it's about emotional stability, moving into a leadership role, organizing people around an event. That's the Eras Tour. You're in a stable place in your career. We didn't know this at the time that they were on the rocks, but that's how the world saw it. That's literally how the world saw it. Oh, she's about to go on tour. This is about Joe. This is so cute. But on the inside, she was experiencing the Nine of Wands, which nines are about nearing completions and cycles. And then that's about giving up on something, and you're acting stubborn, getting in your own way. I mean, you've seen my Joe readings, but yeah, it's asking you to observe your actions and taking responsibility for your behavior. So I think there was a lot of like contemplating going on. And then let's do the Tortured Poets department. Is that 11? I hope I got every era. Oh well. All right, and then I'm just gonna push all these up here, and the Tortured Poets department. Let's see what the lyrics say. Nobody's heard from me for months. Okay, so you have the Hermit card in reversed. That is a 9 on near completion. That's a very hard work. It's a Virgo card, so it's hardworking, analytical. Yeah, that's about loneliness and isolation, afraid of being alone. I think everyone kind of assumed that. People who, I think a lot of us Swifties, I mean, she jumped from Maddie Healy to Travis Kelce. So, I mean, that makes sense. Like, she was afraid of being alone, so I think she kind of just had all these people to make her feel less alone, to like make her feel like get over Joe, which I still don't think she had. And I think people were kind of privy to that, like with the Tortured Poets department, a whole fucking expose about all these exes. So I think people were like you are afraid to be alone, and you're afraid to look within yourself, because that album was calling out other people, not her. And then how is she feeling inside? All eyes on you, my magician. Yeah, I mean, that just reminds me kind of the Eras Tour. You have the Magician card, which that's about, she was inspired. That's about messages and communication. Like, she was fucking sending some messages out, that's for damn sure. New opportunities. You have all these elements to inspire. Like, she had all, it's like, these remind me of all the men that helped her create that album. I mean, that 32 song album. Yeah, I think that with the Tortured Poets department, I mean, it just screams like inspired action and like new opportunities. So I think I'm just gonna pull no, actually, I think I'm good. I don't feel called to do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was like that was a fun reading. I don't know, I kind of just came up with that idea. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you have any ideas, not just Taylor Swift, I mean, she's easy to read for because she's everywhere and like people love to hear it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop any ideas below about pop culture. I don't think I'm gonna do like true crime and stuff like that. I'm trying to see what I want my channel to be. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and have a good Sunday.